Hi guys, so today I want to talk about bullying, and in particular I want to talk about my bullying story when I was at primary school or middle school, depending on what you call it. Obviously I went to the primary school, middle school in the UK, and this story starts when we went on a school trip to the Isle of Wight. Now, I believe this is one that they did every year. I don't know if they still do it because times have changed. And this was over 20 years ago now. But for me, I went on a school trip to the Isle of Wight. And basically, obviously, we had to get on a ferry to get there. And when we got to the hotel and we were put in our dormitories, obviously the girls in one, the boys in another. The girls, obviously I'd had a fit before and was told that I weren't allowed to sleep on the top bunk of any bed, and none of the girls were prepared to allow me to sleep on the bottom bunk, even though I told them I couldn't be on the top in case I fell off and hurt myself and had another fit. So basically what happened is I spent the whole of the first night while we were on this school trip with a torch being shone in my eyes. Basically, a torch in America is what you'd call a flashlight. Oh no, a torch in the UK is what you'd call a flashlight in America. So basically, that was shone in my eyes for the first night. So then it moved to obviously we had a trip within the school trip the next day where we went to the theatre, and obviously in the theatre you learn about like all the different bits of the theatre, so like costume, light, sound, makeup and all that. And obviously we learnt about the lights, so there was flashing lights, and that was totally alright while we was in the theatre auditorium learning about the stuff. But when it wasn't alright is when we were queuing up to get back on the coach to go to the hotel. I believe for the evening meal. I can't remember because obviously a long time ago. Where basically I collapsed and had a fit again. So obviously the other kids got taken back to the hotel and I got taken to the hospital. I stayed there overnight. At the time, my mum was on holiday in the Caribbean with her then partner. So she was thousands of miles away in the Caribbean. So obviously it would have been hard for her to get home. The only people that were in the UK were my uncles, my nan and my gramps, who's no longer with us. So basically, my nan at the time worked at the post office sorting mail. So the school called her, the school called the work let my nan know, and they let her go home early. And obviously at this time it would have been around probably 2004 to 2006. So obviously the internet wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been the best. It would have just been sort of in its infancy, wouldn't it? So my youngest uncle got on the internet to look for ferry tickets, found some. He came with my gramps, obviously, no longer with us. They got on the ferry and they were there the morning after I woke up. So they were there the morning after I woke up in the hospital. Obviously, there was a teacher with me. I wasn't just there on my own. And obviously, I had to wait to be discharged. So, by the time we got back to the hotel, I think the kids I think were on another trip or something. And basically, we went into the room that I was in to find that my bag had been emptied of all my crisps, chocolate, sweets and drinks by the girls. There was nothing left. Luckily, they didn't get the spending money because that was somewhere else. But, they got all my sweets, crisps, chocolate and drinks. And obviously, this couldn't happen. And my nan, with me being the first born grandchild and her only granddaughter, she wanted me to stay. She wanted me to go home with her, but I didn't want to. So we made a deal with the teachers that were there and the teaching assistant. And for the rest of the school trip, I got to stay in the room with the teaching assistant where I had a TV. This was so she could keep an eye on me. But what bugs me is the girls were the ones that caused it. Everyone made me cards. The girls were most of the names on it. So the only people that didn't actually need to be on these cards, were the boys, the teachers, and the teaching assistants. And what's the scariest obviously, we got back to school after the trip. And obviously, the school were notified as well. And these girls never, and I repeat, never got in trouble for what they caused me. And the fact that I got in hospital, so they got away with it.